Hi, everyone. This is my presentation on the Code of Ethics and Hot Button Behavioral Management. Um, First, I want to talk about my personal code of ethics and child rights. So, child rights, as defined by myself, are each child has the right to basic human necessities such as food, water, and shelter. They have the right to their autonomy as long as it does not hurt other people. They have the right to have their own cultures, racial and individual identities. They are unique people. They have the right to not be discriminated against. They have the right to a high quality education, and they have the right to safety. Um, as far as my code of ethics, keeping in mind each child's individual needs and unique cultural, ethnic backgrounds, maintaining a thorough knowledge of current standards and developmental knowledge, supporting not only the child but the family and maintaining a quality relationship with both, and then overall just maintaining kindness. So for me, my hot button issues were lying, specifically about doing something. So lying about like not eating all of their food or saying that they flushed the toilet when they didn't. My next hot button issue was hitting either myself or other children, and then the third one was whining. Um, these all make me feel a few different things, such as frustrated, annoyed, and angry. But none of these feelings are very productive and can create a situation where I respond poorly to the child, and this impacts the relationship with their family and with them. So the impact that this can have on relationships with families is these issues can negatively affect them, and my responses can be impulsive and therefore poorly thought through. If I'm reacting in anger or annoyance, this can also reflect poorly on my skills as an educator and my relationship with that child. It can damage the overall relationship with the family as they're seeing me not as a professional, but as a frustrated, annoyed, angry person. So, how do I manage behavior? Um, Before the behavior occurs, when I'm thinking about typical behaviors that occur in a day, it's important to think about all of the circumstances that may be occurring that are therefore influencing those behaviors. Before the behavior occurs, I can make sure that I have an understanding of the child and their home culture, as well as ensuring that I have a set clear expectations and maintain a consistent schedule. So again, the importance of these relationships between myself and the family are that I need to ensure that I'm keeping in mind the child's relationships and the way that the family and culture can inform behavior. For example, if there is turmoil at home or one parent is away often for work, these things can impact the child's behavior as it upsets their safe space. If I'm aware of these behaviors, then I can change the way that I approach behavioral challenges. So, using that same example, if a parent is away for work, and I know their schedule, I can be prepared for the behavioral changes when that parent first leaves to go to work. When it comes to culture, children in the classroom that do not children who are in a classroom that does not reflect their home cultures are likely to feel confused, isolated, alienated, conflicted, and less competent because of because what they've learned so far in their home culture simply does not apply. They may not understand the rules and they may not be able to communicate their needs in the school's language. So if the classroom is not reflecting what they are used to at home or what expectations that have been set by the family, this can be really confusing and difficult. Therefore, it is important to have those expectations be clear and consistent. So, managing behavior during the behavior, ensuring that you as a provider are maintaining calm. The child does not need your emotions, good or bad, clouding how they feel and or making the behavior get even worse. Ensuring that have coping techniques that help you to stay grounded. These often are the same ones that we're giving to the children, such as taking a deep breath. Another thing that we as teachers tend to do when children are going through a difficult behavior is wanting them to apologize. Most can't even grasp the concept of what an apology means, and therefore they're just saying it to appease you and get you to let them move on. So an apology is not effective. It's not really doing what you think it's doing, and the child is just using this as another method to move on and no longer be in trouble. So what can I do after the behavior as far as behavior management? Um, as a teacher, self-care can feel difficult. However, it is essential to ensure that you are able to help the children regulate themselves. I will, in the moment, take a second to take a breath and step away if possible. I'm so lucky and I have a co-teacher and often have a way that I can step out of the classroom if I need to take a moment for myself, if it's been an exceptionally difficult day or there's a lot of behavior going on. Um, and that's a really easy way for me, just like very quickly to like, okay, take a breath and then come back in. After the fact, I will ensure that I am maintaining a healthy work life balance. This can look like silencing notifications from group chats or applications that allow communication from parents. And then taking time for self reflection is the most important. Um, if you're not reflecting, you don't really know how you fully felt. It can really open your eyes to see the full scope of not only the child's behavior, but your reactions and what that has meant. Another self care tip is taking time to rest and reset outside of school, but also reflecting on what has occurred during the week. Like I said, it gives you a lot of insight, not only to maybe how you may have missed things with the child's behavior or clues as to why that may have been occurring, but also to how you reacted and how you may want to change that reaction in the future. So how does this plan align with my ethics and child's rights? Um, the most important thing I keep in mind when making sure that my behavioral strategy aligns with my code of ethics is that I see each child for who they are as a unique individual with their own culture, ethnicity, and perspective. That can affect how they are behaving. Another is the importance of the communication and the relationships with families. If you don't have that relationship, if you don't have that communication, you're never going to be able to work through whatever this behavior is, because at the end of the day, family and caregivers are one of the main influences in that child's life, and they influence a lot of how that child is going to behave, react, and so forth. And so without that relationship, without that communication, you're not going to be able to fully understand what is trying to be communicated through that behavior. So, as far as reflecting on this, my outlook on behaviors has changed slightly throughout this course. I know that behaviors are more than just what is happening in the moment. They're a way for the child to communicate something that is happening they may not be able to express in another way. I have been working hard to learn how to better handle behaviors and not just look at them at face value. After reading Troublemakers specifically, I feel it is vital for teachers to take a step back and look at the behaviors and their responses from an outsider's perspective. This alone can give insight that may have been missed and show how, even with the best of intentions, we can let our own feelings and perceived notions affect the way that we see the behaviors and therefore the child. Overall, caregivers need to look at behaviors as communication instead of simply defiance. Which brings me to my letter to a teacher. Dear teachers, while it is easy to write off a child as a troublemaker, there is so much more occurring there than we usually take the time to see. Children are so unique, and their families, cultures, and ethnicity all impact the way that they see the world and how they interact with it. As an educator, it's therefore our job to make sure that we are seeing this when we care for children and know that behavior is simply a way to communicate with others, something that may not be able to be expressed in another way. We have a responsibility to use this knowledge when managing and guiding behavior, choosing patience and kindness as well as constant reflection on the part of the educator. Children are learning and growing, and so we will have to adapt and change with them, maintaining communication with families and stoking a quality bond with the family and child. Overall, knowing that children, just like us, experience many things and emotions, and we have to work with them and help them grow. And then here are my references. Thank you so much.